Frazer, I see you met Bob. And then it dawned on me, that's Bob Dylan.
Wow.
I've been talking to him for like half an hour. I did kind of notice something about Dane Cook. Early, I go, this guy's got stage presence, and he's not afraid of anything. I was also there, the night that Kramer went off.
Uh-huh.
You were there that night.
I was the host.
You were the host?
Yeah. I remember telling him, here's some things I think you should say.
Wow, you're the guy.
Hello, listeners, and welcome to another exciting episode of We Think It's Funny. We're coming to you live and pre-recorded from the podcast bus. I'm Daniel LaBelle, sitting here with Mark Schiff. How are you, Mark?
Danny!
And we are here with one of radio's legends, which is why I'm doing this radio voice. I'm honored to be joined here. We're honored to be joined here by Frazer Smith, the Fraizer.
Oh, guys, thank you. You're too kind. I am actually honored to be with myself here tonight.
Yeah. Wow.
Well,
yeah.
By the way, they're looking to take the radio out of the car.
Yeah,
Have you
they
heard this?
Right? No, I did. Yeah.
The AM radio, they want.
I hope I wasn't the reason for that. But.
the catalyst.
You were part of it.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, they are. I was saying that when my show came back on KLOS, I'm fortunate enough to be back on KLOS, and I didn't have anywhere to listen to it. I go to we pre-taped the show. I go to listen to it, and I realize I don't have a radio.
Yeah.
I had to go listen in my car.
It's not a good sign.
No, but now you can't even do that. They're taking them out.
Let me open here with a big compliment to you. Not only are you a legend in radio, but you are really a phenomenal radio host. And I've done a lot of radio, as you mentioned, and I've been honored enough to, over the years, not on your new show, but on your old show, I was a guest several times, and not only was it a thrill and an honor to be on your show, but it was some of the most fun I've ever had on the air. So just having you here, I'd like to pay my respects to all the work that you've done over the years, and it's great to have you here. Well,
I'm a fan of both of you guys. And your podcast is getting a buzz. I was telling you that.
Yeah.
It's going. People know about it. And when I told them I was coming on here, a lot of people said, "Oh, that's a great podcast." So you guys are doing a good job. I know that you started in radio.
Yeah.
And the one thing you said that hopefully I've been able to do is keep it fun.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to have a format where I was allowed to do that, because so many radio shows are kind of tightly programmed, where you can't really ad-lib or you can't really do a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. And I always had the fortune of being able to just kind of do my thing.
And you're a great comedian, so I think, you've got the timing down. A lot of these radio guys are maybe radio funny, but they're not funny. You're very funny. So, there's a difference. There's like a kind of radio-esque humor that's not you, so...
Well, what I found is that when you do stand-up, which I find to be much harder, you actually have to have punchlines.
Right.
Ooh.
Radio...
Now you tell me. Wow.
You know what, Mark? In radio, you don't. You kind of do your premise, and then we got to go to commercial.
Right.
There was a radio show I did in San Francisco, and I was so honored to do Alex Bennett.
Oh, one of the best.
Yeah, I used to listen to him when I was a little kid in New York. And then I became a stand-up comedian, and they booked me in San Francisco to be on Alex Bennett. I was just loved it.
Yeah.
It was so great to meet him.
He did the same kind of thing with comics. He had comics on all the time, and he's a legendary DJ.
Right. Did you play music?
Yeah, I still do. That's part of my thing.
Right.
And,
what
you
kind?
Compose music.
Well, I've been mostly on all my stations actually have been rock stations, and I started on K-Rock out here. At that time, they were playing classic rock type stuff, and then all the new wave stuff started to come in, and the punk rock. And Rodney Bingenheimer, do you know who Rodney is?
I don't.
Rodney is...
Bingenheimer I know, but not Rodney.
Well, yeah. It's actually two people. But he's a really well-known late-night kind of DJ guy who discovered a lot of bands. A lot of the old classic rock bands. He discovered Zeppelin and The Who and some pretty big bands.
Mark just told a great Zeppelin story on the last show we recorded.
Right.
Can I give it to him?
Sure.
Mark, as you know, is a big drug addict, and
Sure.
Still there.
No, but he.
I'm an overdose any second. I'm about to go.
Let's get this thing over with.
Many years ago, he used to smoke very strong hash, and he went to a Led Zeppelin concert, and the guy next to him asked him for a hit, and it was so strong it knocked the guy out for the whole concert. And when he woke up at the end, he was furious at Mark for missing.
He
the
woke
whole...
up at, "Thank you very much, good night."
Wow. Well, you made him miss Zeppelin. That's not good.
How?
But
It's
you were saying
unbelievable
about...
that he could sleep through something that loud.
Yeah, that must have been strong stuff.
Yeah,
man.
well, yeah, it must have been great hash. Well, Rodney. Anyway, back to him. He discovered those big bands, and then he discovered all these new bands that were coming in at the time, like the Police, the Clash, Sex Pistols, Ramones, and all those guys. And I didn't know anything about any of them. But K-Rock started to play them, and Rodney would say, "Play these guys, play those guys," and you play the Police, and people would light up the phones calling in, and that helped with my comedy because all of a sudden everybody started listening to this little station. They were in last place, and didn't have any money, and the management were gangsters. It was a movie.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty wild, and then. Just by listening to him, I would play these songs. So all of a sudden, everybody was listening to this little tiny station. Mm-hmm. And they went to first place. They leapfrogged over everybody, all the big corporate stations.
I am friends with Steve Jones.
Jonesy, one of the best. One of the best.
He's one of the original Sex Pistols.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sex Pistol guitar player.
Cool. I'm more. I'm
knackered, totally knackered.
Yeah.
He's a funny dude, isn't he?
He is so funny and so dry with his humor and such a nice guy.
A great guy.
And you would think that nice people were in the Sex Pistols because of their whole aura.
Right, sure.
What they did and all that. But yeah, he's a friend. I know him for many years.
He's awesome. And what I always found interesting about him was that he really didn't listen to punk rock either. It surprised you how nice he is, but also I thought he would listen to, Clash and all
Ramones.
Yeah. Instead, he likes the old school stuff like Rod Stewart and Bob Seger. And he was impressed.
He's of that age.
That's right. That's right. But he was impressed that I had Rod Stewart on my show. He goes, "How'd you get Rod Stewart, man?"
You've had everybody on your show, really. I mean, people say to me, "Oh, you've interviewed a lot of people." I don't know that candle to Frazer Smith. You have interviewed the biggest rockers, the biggest comedians, the biggest actors. Is there anybody... Okay, I'm sure you've gotten this question before, but who was the most thrilling person to walk into your show? And is there anybody you didn't get that you wanted?
Well, my favorite interview was David Lee Roth because he's a very smart guy and he is wild and wacky, as you might imagine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he came into the show. I was doing a Saturday morning phrase. It was on a ridiculously early hour for comics. And I would get comics out at 6 in the morning to do the show. They were so mad at me. So anyway, I was doing that, and he came in after partying at a strip club all night. It comes straight into the show and was fantastic on the air because of his knowledge and all the stuff he can talk about.
Wow.
Who did you not get that you wish you got?
Putin. I was trying to get Putin.
Not easy. Not easy.
No, he's hard to get.
Not as much fun as...
No, he knows.
Yeah.
Well, he's a similar guy.
Yeah.
He probably would have come in from the strip club. No, who did I want to get?
You ever have Dylan?
No, but I do have a Dylan story.
I want to hear it.
I, of course, love Dylan, and I was friends with Al Cooper.
Sure.
You know Al Cooper.
Yeah.
The great Al Cooper. So we were buddies, and he was playing
He played on Dylan's album.
Yes, he played keyboard.
Not Alice Cooper, who you're also friends
Well, I'm good
with.
friends with Alice
He
Cooper,
played on
too.
Blonde on Blonde.
He's a great interview, too. He did, and a couple of the other Dylan albums, too. He, great producer as well. He discovered Leonard Skinner and a lot of big bands. So he says,
You know where that name came from, by the way? You know that story? Leonard
for
Skinner?
the gym teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah. They didn't like their gym teacher, so they named their band after him. But so Al Cooper says to me, he goes, "Hey, I got a new band that I'm starting to get in with, and we're playing out in Malibu on Sunday. Come on out Sunday night and see the band."
What year was this?
This was like, oh gosh, it must have been early 90s maybe.
Okay.
So I drive over the hill and go out to this little bar, and so they're setting up, the band's setting up. So I went over to the bar, And there's some guy there, and I start talking to this guy. He's got a baseball hat on. It's pulled way down. And we're just talking about everything, just shooting the breeze, and sports, the Dodgers, football, everything. And so all of a sudden, Al walks by after we've been talking for about half an hour.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh, I'm Frazer. I see you met Bob." And then it dawned on me, that's Bob Dylan.
Wow.
I've been talking to him for like half an hour.
Wow.
And he goes, "I know who you are, man. You're the radio guy." Yeah. Yeah. He knew about me, and it was awesome, man. And then I didn't know what to say. We all meet a lot of celebrities, so I don't get too starstruck, but I was starstruck by Dylan. So I go, keep up the good work.
Yeah. Right.
So I'm driving home thinking, what an idiot. Why did I say that? But,
How was Rod Stewart?
He was fantastic. Fantastic. Turns out he was a fan of the show, and I didn't book him on the show. He was just driving by one night and came in, and the security guard outside goes, "Hey, Rod Stewart's here." I go, "Yeah, right." I thought it was one of my comedy buddies, playing a joke.
Wow.
Turns out it's Rod Stewart. So he comes in, he would do, and then we couldn't get rid of him.
Wow.
He stayed the whole show.
Wow.
And he's a soccer player, so he plays in the Valley still sometimes in adult leagues. So we had a soccer ball there. We're kicking it around the studio, and it hit the record, back then it was vinyl, knocked the record off, and had amazing stories. Just a great guy.
Yeah. Wow. Incredible that he would just walk in like that.
Yeah.
What a thrill. Has anybody else done that?
I'm trying to think. I'm sure there is someone, but you know who did it? Rodney Dangerfield.
Did your show?
Yeah, you're a friend.
Yes.
Yeah, I know
him well.
Mark and Rodney were good friends. I didn't expect him to be there. I had one of the wrestlers. What was the pro wrestler's name? Roddy Piper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he just did that movie They Live, right?
Uh-huh.
And it was a really pretty good movie, and he was really good in it. So he was there as my guest, and then all of a sudden Bob Saget shows up with Rodney.
Wow.
And they were just driving around, same thing.
Yeah.
And came in to do the show. So now I got this wrestler, and then Rodney and Saget. And Rodney didn't know who the guy was. Who was that guy? Was he a football player? Who was that guy?
Do you still have tapes of these shows?
I don't know if I have that one. But
How many tapes have you got, archives of your old shows?
I lost a bunch of them when I moved. And you got to really archive. I tell people all the time I made a mistake with that. The one I really miss is the one with Robin Williams. And I know you knew him well, but he was so good on my show. Always good, everything he did, right? And I don't have it. So
What are you doing with all the archives of your show?
trying to sell them. No, I basically just, keep them. Now I finally learned you have to save them.
Why don't you put them out as podcasts?
Maybe I could, yeah.
You could.
You should.
One night I went into a fish, Jaime's it was called. Do you remember this fish restaurant in town?
Yes.
Jaime's
yeah.
on Pico. It was a fish restaurant. I went in with Steve Middleman, good friend of mine.
I love Steve.
Yeah, and sitting
him
at
too.
the bar, it's about 9 o'clock at night, is Rodney by himself having something to drink. And we walk over. We know him. We go, Rodney, how are you? I'll tell you, it's been rough. I said, oh, Rodney, you want to join us? He goes, I'm so friggin' lonesome, man. Are you sure? I'll come and sit with you. And he was by himself. He was, admitted he was lonesome. And he sat down. He ended up buying us dinner. And he bought this bouillabaisse. It comes in a big pot. There's all kinds of fish and clams and oysters. Everything's thrown. He picks the whole thing up and starts drinking it out of this giant pot. And I'm thinking, no wonder people don't invite you to dinner. But he was so nice. He was such a... And you met his wife,
Yeah.
Joan.
Joan,
Recently, right?
Yeah, well, I used to host at the Laugh Factory on Friday nights, and Rodney would come in and try out new material. And so he'd waddle in, and he must have been in his 80s then, and Joan was with him. She's beautiful, and much younger and a beautiful girl. And they would come in, and Rodney would be like, half the time his fly was down, and he was wearing sandals.
Drawstring pants.
Yep, and just kind of stoned to the gills, right? So and then I'd bring him up, and the crowd would go insane. They'd give him a standing O.
Yeah.
Then he'd forget half of his act and kind of stumble through it. And then he'd get down, they give him another standing O, right?
Yeah.
So I got to meet her a little bit then. And then, but a quick story, he was hired by a radio convention to do 45 minutes for $50,000. And I thought, he's never going to get through. He can't get through 15 minutes. And he showed up. He was a whole different human. He had like his usual, the red tie and the blue suit.
Yeah.
He looked like $1 million, and he killed for 45 minutes. And it just showed me when the money's on the line, the old pro shows up.
Yeah.
Well, one night I heard, he made a lot of money. It was the commercials that made him famous. Finally,
yeah.
He left for a while, then he came back and he was doing okay. But when he started doing the Budweiser commercials, he really started picking people, got to know him. And one night in New York, he told me he was offered. There's a place called Tavern on the Green, which is a very famous restaurant in Central Park. When he lived on the east side, Tavern on the Green was on the west side. He gets a phone call, Rodney, somebody was supposed to be here, canceled. Would you come over and perform for us? We'll pay you $80,000 to take a cab across town. And he goes, I'm in my pajamas. And he didn't go.
Well,
$80,000.
at that point, you didn't need it, right?
Yeah, he goes, I'm in my pajamas. I'm ready to go to bed. Good night.
Well, I ran into his wife. I ran into Joan. I was hosting for Tim Allen recently at Laugh Factory, and I'm getting off stage, and I'm walking out, and this woman says, hey, that was great. You were great. Look over, it's Joan Dangerfield. And she goes, hey, I want to do your radio show, so she's going to be a guest on my show.
Great.
You guys got to get her, too.
Okay.
Love to.
Yeah.
She was in the roses business a long time ago.
I think that's where they met. Yeah. She had a flower stand.
Yeah.
African roses or something. These beautiful.
Something, yeah. And so that's, I think, how they met. But I have another story that's sort of similar to that. And somehow Bob Saget winds up in this story, too. It's kind of similar. I was at K-Earth Radio for like a short time. I really wasn't a good fit there, but I did the morning show there for a while. And my guests were Saget and Norm Macdonald.
Wow.
Who were, amazing, right? And the program director, I remember, was so nervous about them being on the show. He came in with his arms folded like this and sat there really angry the whole time. And, of course, that made them just rip into him.
Yeah.
Typical program director.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Totally. Like, what are you going to do? And they just tore him apart. So they go, hey, let's go to Nate and Al's afterwards for lunch. So I met the guys over at Nate and Al's, and we're sitting there talking, and all of a sudden we hear somebody behind us standing on a table telling jokes. This is like at noon at Nate and Al's. And not with a mic or anything, just yelling out these jokes. We look around at Shecky Greene.
Wow.
And I'm a big fan of all those. I know you guys are too, of the old school comics, right?
Yeah.
So we go, hey, it's Shecky. So he got down and sat with us and told us Vegas stories for about an hour.
Yeah. I met Shecky. I did a week in Vegas at Harry Basil's Tropicana. And I get a phone call. I knew Pete Barbuti. Pete.
Oh, really? Oh, I'm a fan of his
great
too.
old comic. On Tonight Show many times.
Yeah.
And he goes, Mark, you're in town on Monday morning at 10 a.m. at the Green Valley Casino Resort in Henderson, I think it is. He goes, we have breakfast on Monday morning. Shecky's there, and sometimes Pat Cooper's there, and some of the old Vegas people.
Wow. Yeah.
He says, why don't you come for breakfast? I never met Shecky before.
Wow.
He walks me over to Shecky. He goes, Shecky, this is Mark Schiff, comedian, playing at the so-and-so. And Shecky looks at me and goes, you are Jewish boy? I said, yeah. He goes, you sit next to me. I want to sit next to a Jewish boy. And he was so funny and just so great.
Awesome, right?
I had about 6 of those breakfasts with those guys. And it was,
wow, dude.
And they're the old mobsters from Vegas. They used to run in, these guys, and just a boxer. Mike Tyson would show up sometimes.
Wow.
Just beautiful.
They always say the Vegas ran better when the mob was running it.
Yes.
I'm sure that's true.
It did, and it was less expensive, of course, and they treated you better.
Exactly.
Treat you like
that's
For the most part, unless you got out of
then they
line.
kill you.
Yeah.
But that's,
but that's,
I interviewed Shecky once.
You did?
For my old podcast, Modern Day Philosophers, and I went out to his place. He had a place near San Diego, and my wife came with me, and he said, before you're coming into my apartment, I need to meet you and feel you out. I don't just let anybody come over my house. So meet me at this strip mall near my house. So I meet him there. We're walking the parking lot, and this guy comes. Danny Lobel, how's it going? Gonna do your podcast today. He's just singing everything. And I said, oh my gosh, what an intro. So he goes, let's go to the diner first and get some orange juice. You look like a guy who likes orange juice.
That's what he does.
Yeah.
When I
Yeah.
saw him on the Mondays, he would just start singing, stand up at the table.
Right.
And whatever. He'd go, give me a line. And he would just start singing it.
Right.
Yeah.
And it didn't stop. We're just sitting there. He's like, waiter, can you bring some orange juice for these two people? I'm about to do a podcast. Anyway, he felt, okay, fine. Seems like a nice enough guy, I suppose. And he brought us to his apartment. His wife, as soon as we walked in, had printed out a pile of papers about Shecky. Like a thick pile of papers. Slams it down in front of me. Did you write this about Shecky? Did you write this about him? I don't write anything. I do a podcast. She goes, this is all slander against him. She shows me this article or this long thing about somebody had written some slander. I don't know from when or what on the internet about Shecky. She goes, I told him not to do this. I told him not to talk to anybody anymore. You're just going to make him look bad like this. We know what you're up to. I never met the woman in my life.
Wow.
Wow.
And he's going, don't worry about him. He's all right. I met him already. We sat down. He's good. He's good people. She goes, you're making a mistake. You shouldn't be doing this. You're retired. You shouldn't be doing any of these podcasts. It's nonsense. And I'm like, oh, well, I appreciate you doing it. You know,
Nice talking to you. Yeah.
Finally, she leaves the room, and he's like, sheesh. Anyway, don't worry about her. You know, don't worry about the articles or anything. Then we start doing the podcast. He said a bunch of things I had to cut out for his own sake because they were quite out of, I think there was a comedian on TV who was a lesbian. He said some fairly raunchy things I had to cut for his own sake out of the interview. But mostly just a wonderful, sweet, funny guy. The interview's going pretty well. His wife charges into the room. We're supposed to go out for dinner with my sister to the Italian place, but I guess you're not going to do that now because you got your podcast.
Wow. That's crazy.
He goes, I'll meet you there. Oh, you'll meet me there. Great. You're still picking up the bill or something like that.
Oh, man.
What a pleasure she must be.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, and he did something weird. He called me one time and said, I want to play the Laugh Factory tonight. I'm coming to Laugh Factory.
Yeah.
I said, oh, okay, cool. And he goes, and I'm bringing my friend Bertrand. And I go, Bertrand? And he goes, yeah, he's a French comedian. Mm-hmm. And he wants certain things. He's going to need, and he gave me a list of wine and all this stuff that he wanted.
Brie.
So we went out and got everything.
Yeah.
And then he walks up, he goes, this is for Bertrand. He walks up the stairs there, and it's Shecky, and he goes, hello, I am Bertrand. It was him all along.
He also just was recently with Shelley
Berman's
wife,
widow, yeah.
who's 100.
Wow.
Yeah. She's
See,
wonderful.
I love all the
Sarah
old
Berman.
comics.
Now, there's
right?
an amazing wife of a comedian who she's been like a force for him for 70 years. They were married, and she took care of him when he got dementia. And they were at my wedding. They're just the most incredible couple.
You're lucky to meet them with that.
You know the old Shecky story about Sinatra, right?
Tell it.
Yeah.
That's the old.
tell it,
you
yeah.
know that he goes, hey, Frank Sinatra saved my life. 5 guys were beating me up out in front of Caesar's Palace. He walked by and he said, that's enough.
There.
Yeah. You know, I'm just going to add one little more tidbit about Shecky. We had such a nice time when we did my podcast. When it was over, he said to me, this was delightful. You're really great at this. He goes, is there any comedian that you would like to have on your wish list that you'd love to have on this podcast, but you haven't been able to get them? Maybe I can help you. I said, well, I would love to get Rickles. He goes, oh, he's a good friend of mine. I'll call him right now. He called him right there.
Wow.
And he says, hey, I got this guy. He's so funny. He's a comedian. You're going to love him. And he goes, who? He goes, his name is Danny Lobel. Uh-huh. Yeah. He goes, he says he told you already he's not going to do it. He did. He emailed me. He said, I don't do podcasts. I didn't think he was going to call him right there.
That's a hard get.
Yeah.
To get
One
Rickles.
night, one day, I went to Jan Murray's house in Beverly Hills.
Wow, I loved him too.
Yeah, it was incredible. And I went to his house. He was going to do an interview with us. And I knock on the door, and the housekeeper answers the door. I said, I'm here to see Jan. She goes, okay, we expected you. And I walk in the kitchen area, and I hear upstairs a voice go, hey, Mark, it's Jan. I'll be with you in a couple of minutes. So I said, fine. He goes, sit in the living room, relax, get something to drink. I'll be right down. Just getting ready. So I said, fine. Maybe 10 minutes later, the voice again. Hey, Mark, I'm getting ready. I'll be down in about 10 minutes. Just relax, have something to drink. I'm just getting ready. Comes down in his boxer shorts, no T-shirt. I'm thinking, this is getting ready.
He's another classic, man.
Yeah, he was amazing. And he had on the wall of his house the most beautiful, iconic photos of him with every great comedian of his era.
Wow.
Beautiful black and white shots.
Well, he's from that great era, right?
Yeah, just amazing.
And I went to a Christmas party at, remember Buddy Mora?
Yes, I do.
The great manager?
Yeah.
And manager, I think Letterman.
Collins, Jaffe, Bresnan,
yeah,
Mora.
exactly. Yeah. And Robin Williams and a lot of people.
Yes.
So he had a Christmas party, and I went to the Christmas party, and Uncle Milty's there. So I've always been a huge fan. So I just said to him very, casually, oh, I'm a big fan of yours, and then he wouldn't let me go. The whole, you have to sit here, Fraizer, with me the whole night. He just turned out, I always heard these things about how nasty he could be. He was so cool and wouldn't let me go. Fraizer, this is my friend Fraizer. He kept introducing me to all these stars
great.
and everything.
One night he made believe that he was upset. I think I may have told this a long time. Well, anyway, there was a benefit from my kid's school called Maimonides, a Jewish school, and somehow somebody invited Milton Berle, and he came sitting in the audience. And the rabbi of the school comes over to Berle, and he's an older man, rabbi. He goes, Mr. Berle, let me just tell you, I grew up watching you. We're such big fans of yours. Would you go up on stage, once we start the thing, and just say a couple words? And Milton looks at him and goes, how dare you ask me to come up on stage? I came here as a guest, and I'm not going to go up on that stage and entertain these people for nothing, and it's rude. And the rabbi goes, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to, how about this? Can I just say you're in the audience? You stand up and wave. He says, absolutely, I'll do that. They start the thing, the event. The rabbi says, ladies and gentlemen, by the way, we have a very special guest in the audience, one of the greatest comedians and actors of all time. Please welcome Milton Berle. Milton stands up, waves. Then he walks up on stage.
Of course.
He takes the mic from the rabbi, does about 30 minutes, starts getting really dirty. They have to go on stage and take the mic away from him.
I love it.
The whole thing was a setup.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Did you ever meet Jerry Lewis?
Yeah. I was at KLOS, and I was leaving my morning show, and they had a long hallway at KLOS, a long, thin hallway. So I'm walking down the hallway, kind of had my head down, and I look up, and there's Jerry Lewis walking towards me. And it's kind of like, you're going to run into each other. So he starts running full speed at me. And he goes, it's Mr. Too Hip. It's the Too Hip guy. Because that was my old slogan on the radio, was Too Hip, right? I had no idea he would know anything about me. There he is, it's Mr. And he starts chasing me. And he's chasing me through this radio station, over people's desks, around, papers are flying, staplers are falling off desks. He's chasing me all around. There he is, yelling at me. Pretty amazing. He was really cool.
What happened when he caught you? I assume he caught you.
He sued me, but he was delightful, and you hear all the horror stories about Jerry, but he was cool to me.
That's great.
I did a lot of radio before. When I did the clubs a lot, you would do 6 a.m. radio in whatever town you're in.
Yeah,
and some comedians would do these shows, and people would come out to see them. I never could draw people from my radio shows that I did, and I just didn't know what I was lacking.
Well, I don't know. It's hard to tell on that. I think one thing is that you're going to talk differently on a morning show than your act. Your act is different. You're going to do jokes, and you don't want to give your jokes away.
Did you ask the comedians to do their material?
I tried to stay off that.
Yeah.
Because you know why? Because people don't
terrible.
want to. Yeah. And the thing is, they don't want to give up their jokes, and then that night, everybody's already heard them.
Yeah.
So I try to just be more conversational, and I think that's a better way to handle it. And I think then, the people hopefully will want to hear more and come out and see you. But I hope people realize that you're not doing the same thing on the radio that you are in your act. Mm-hmm. Your act is jokes and stories.
What year did you start doing stand-up?
1980. And the reason was I had my radio show, and of all people that were my sidekick, it was Jamie Masada, the owner of the Laugh Factory.
He was your what?
Well, my sidekick on the show. You remember Vic Dunlop? You know,
I do very well.
Vic was
He passed a while ago.
he did, yeah, and he was a great guy. He was the producer of my show. So one day he says to me, "Hey, I got a sidekick for you." And I go, "A sidekick?" I go, "Why do I need? I'm already number one. I was number one. I don't want a sidekick." And he goes, "No, you got to meet this guy."
Okay.
So I go up to Vic's office on Hollywood Boulevard, and in walks Jamie Masada, dressed completely in white, a white hat, white suit, and he goes, "You're gonna love this guy." I immediately hated him. It was Jamie Masada,
Sure.
and I go, "That guy, Vic, I don't want this guy on my show."
Yeah.
And he goes, "No, trust me, put him on your show." When I say I hated him, I mean he was just overbearing, right?
Okay.
So he goes on the show, and he was a huge hit. And it wasn't just a thing of making fun of a foreigner, that's kind of old school stuff, but he was actually a cartoonish kind of guy. And it was a character called Buddy Buddy. Buddy, I tell you what, Jamie Masada, we're going to make it happen, Frazer. We get it going. Buddy, buddy, buddy.
Yeah.
So it caught on.
Uh-huh.
And he had merch and everything. And his merch was outselling mine, which made me
Wow.
insanely jealous.
What was his merch?
He had this Buddy Buddy T-shirts and hoodies and everything. So bumper stickers. So then one day he says to me, "I'm buying a club." And I go, "Yeah, sure, right. You're buying a club." Because I didn't think he had any money, and he probably didn't. And he had gone out and borrowed money from Neil Israel, the director.
Yeah.
Bachelor Party and some other stuff. He had met him at the Comedy Store. And, where the Laugh Factory, the one corner, the east corner on Laurel and Sunset, was originally Greenblatt's. That was the original Greenblatt's.
They had the whole block there.
No, they just had a thin little tiny, it was a much smaller Greenblatt's. So they had moved down. There was a Chinese restaurant off Fong's, which was kind of famous. And then they moved to where they wound up eventually, which is a bigger space. So that space at the end of the block was open. So Jamie leased it with the money that he borrowed from Neil Israel on for a tax write-off, and opened up the Laugh Factory.
Well, did he eventually buy that property?
He did. He owns pretty much half that block anyway. And so Jamie says to me, "I have a club, Frazer. You must come to the club and do comedy." So I started going down there. I'd never done stand-up. And
Were you on the first show?
yeah,
Wow.
I was the first guy in the door there at that place. And it was a tiny little thin, club. And it looked like a Turkish prison. It was just, and the stage was where the bar is now. So no self-respecting comic would show up at that. They would all go around the corner, headed to the Comedy Store, and flip us off.
Yeah.
And we just had all these beginners, including myself. And then one day, Paul Mooney came down, the great Paul Mooney.
Yes.
And he wanted to try out new stuff, and that was kind of an off-Broadway way of doing that, right? So he comes down there, and he would try his new stuff out, and then us, beginners. And then he started bringing his friends down there. He brought Pryor. Richard Pryor actually came down there. He brought Dice. He brought Kinnison. All the heavy hitters from the Comedy Store started coming down to do their little workout.
Yeah.
And I was the MC. So that's how I got to meet all those guys.
Every time he called me on the phone, I go, "Ladies and gentlemen, Muck Schiff."
Yeah, that's his thing. Yeah, that's his. And we became
Muck
really.
Schiff, ladies and gentlemen.
We became really good friends. He, didn't have a liquor license, so what he would do is he'd go to Greenblatt's and he'd get beer, and then they had these giant turkey legs. It looked like medieval times.
I remember those.
Remember?
Yeah, I do.
And there'd be people in the audience would be drinking a beer, eating a giant turkey leg.
Like Leif Erikson sitting out there from a
It's the
Viking.
weirdest.
Like, show for the Viking.
Yeah.
Jamie Masada is truly one of the most giving of older Columboans I've ever met. in
Yeah,
my
he's
life.
great. He's great.
He's amazing. Anytime I called him for one of our schools to do a benefit or whatever, he would give the club for free. He would get the drinks, I think, and stuff like that. But always very gracious. We just went this Thanksgiving. I think I've seen you at a Thanksgiving thing.
I saw you guys there. That's right. I always do that, and for
Right, you
homeless
hosted,
people.
did you?
Yeah.
So tell them what he does there.
Well, and that actually started on my radio show. He feeds homeless people and on Christmas and Thanksgiving.
Whether they want to eat or not. He just force feeds them.
He probably is part of the reason that they are homeless. But so Jamie has, it started on my show though.
Yeah.
He was on my show as a sidekick, and we got a call one day from a chef at a restaurant. He goes, "Hey, I have a lot of extra food left over. Do you have any use for it? Is there anybody that you could?"
Yeah.
So Jamie says, "Yeah, let's do it at the club. Let's start doing this on the holiday," and then we do a show for him too. And then a lot of celebrities come and help out on the line, the food line. And then Tiffany Haddish comes almost every year, and she does a little talent show with the people in the crowd, and then gives them each $100.
Oh wow!
Yeah, she's very generous.
It was very nice. I stood up there with my wife. You're on a little platform and people going by, and we have the food, the mashed potatoes and the gravy and the turkey. And they're just holding their plates out. Very poor people, and some of them homeless people, but so sweet.
I normally
the people are
wouldn't
great.
do this, but I have a phone call, and I'd like to put him on the air with you. You're on the air. See if you recognize this guy's voice. I'm putting you on the spot. You're on the air.
Not so far.
Okay, am I supposed to talk first, or I'm supposed to recognize the other person's voice?
Do you guys know who that is? This is your life. Do you know who this is?
Need to hear a little more.
Tell them some random fact about yourself.
All right, I'm a huge fan of comedians, and it sounds like you've got a comedian in the studio with you right now.
Let me see.
God, I know that voice. Is he supposed to know more me?
Either one of you ought to know this
That
voice.
sounds like Mark Schiff, the great Mark Schiff.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, you got one out of two.
Uh-huh.
I'm going with Albert
Albert Brooks?
Albert Brooks.
Not Albert Brooks.
Okay.
You're very close. I'll tell you what.
Albert Spear.
I know who your guest is, but I recognize his voice first. And I'll tell you right now, he likes to go to a steakhouse, and he likes his coffee, and he likes it hot. Chingao. He likes it hot.
Chingao. Represent. That's right. Yeah.
So you know who it is now?
When he's not at the steakhouse, he likes doing shows in Vegas and Reno and on television and on radio. And every now and then he'll go to a closed down Pea Soup Anderson's.
Oh my gosh.
Have you figured it out?
Yeah, it's Ron Pearson. No, I'm just kidding. The last time I was at the Andersons, it's closed down now.
Yeah.
They keep the billboards up though.
It's Darren Carter, by the way.
It's the great Darren
Darren.
Carter.
And I know that you are very close with him, which
We
is
are
why
close,
I took
yeah.
the call. Darren, I'll call you later. I just wanted to put you on for a
You
second.
guys have a good show, man. I can't wait to hear this episode.
I
Thank
should have
you,
guessed.
Darren.
I
You're
should
the
have guessed
best.
Darren.
Yeah.
I love Darren.
Yeah, Darren's
Yeah,
terrific.
he's such a great comic, right? But he, I didn't think was a one-liner guy, which is all I do.
Yeah.
So he, anyway, I started writing with him. He's really good at jokes.
Right.
I thought he was just a kind of a storyteller, hip hop guy, but he really,
Sounds.
He loves jokes. He gets
He's
jokes.
good at
and he's great at workshopping jokes. Sometimes when I talk to him, I'll start coming up with jokes just because. And you know this, when you talk to certain people who are comedians that you respect and you have a good comedy chemistry with them on the phone, your brain starts producing more jokes.
well, that's what we try to do when we go to this restaurant,
Yeah.
He's really good at punching up a joke,
Yeah.
coming up with a punchline. He's a natural.
I know that he was very, very excited that I was having you on. So that's why when I saw it was him, I said,
He's
I'll
a
put
good
him on
guy.
this. He's
Oh,
a guy.
great guy too.
Yeah,
Yeah, and a good comic.
I want to go back for a second. So you were at the early days of the Laugh Factory. I never knew this, that you basically helped launch Jamie Masada, it sounds like. And
I'm sorry about that, folks.
but you met all these people. Obviously, Richard Pryor was there a lot. Did you get to know him?
Not real well, but I did know Richard, and of course, a genius, and I was a huge fan, like everybody.
Was he still in pretty good health when you met him?
He was just starting to have some issues, but he was still okay at that point. And I was a big fan of Paul Mooney's. Homie, it's a small world, homie. And
I worked with him on the Roseanne talk show.
Did you work on that? Wow, wow.
Paul wrote.
Yeah, he was I thought a genius, comedian, and he could stay up there all day.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, he had some set on him.
Yeah, I still remember the day that Mel Gibson got in trouble out on PCH, right, where he said "sugar tits" to the cop or whatever, and
Some anti-Semitic stuff.
Yeah, so I get a call from Jamie. Hey, get down here, buddy. We got to do jokes for CNN about the Mel Gibstone. He called him Mel Gibstone. So okay, so we go down there and I had like maybe 2 jokes. It was like 3 days afterwards, and so the other comics all had 1 or 2 jokes. So the CNN cameraman was shooting us, and we did our jokes, and we were all done because we didn't really have much. And in walks Mooney. And Mooney goes, "Oh, homie," and he jumps up on stage, and the CNN guy's excited. It's like, oh, finally a name comic here. And so Paul starts going into his act. And 10 minutes in, the camera guy's looking at us like, what's he doing? And Mooney just keeps going.
Yeah.
And, 30 minutes in, he's still going. He's just doing stuff from his act. And
wow.
He did 45 minutes without saying one thing about Mel Gibson. And he just goes, "Oh, thank you, homie. That's it for me." And he jumps off stage, and the CNN guy was pissed. It's like,
when Mel Gibson first got in trouble for his anti-Semitic slurs, I remember I was doing a show for my temple, and I said, by the way, Mel Gibson wants to make amends for what he said, and he wants to make it up to the Jewish people, so he's going to throw a kiddush on Yom Kippur. So,
yeah, that's good. I was also there, the night that Kramer went off.
You were there that night.
I was the host.
You were the host?
Yeah, and that was an interesting evening.
Tell us from your perspective, as you recall it.
Well, I just remember telling him, "Here's some things I think you should say."
Wow, you're the guy.
I think these will get
comes back to
these
you.
should get a laugh. No, I was there. Sully McCullough and I. I was the host.
Sully's
he's fantastic,
sweet guy,
a great guy. So Sully was the first comic up, and I brought Sully on stage, and the crowd was a little bit rowdy, but we're used to that. We know how to work that. And somebody was having a birthday upstairs, and all of a sudden, Michael starts saying these horrible things, trying to calm them down. But he started to do it kind of just like you would regularly handle a heckler. But then he went off and got insane. And we're up there watching on the monitor, and I go, "Did he just say what we thought he said?" And it turns out that the crowd went really. I'm surprised he got out of there alive. And nobody had cell phones back then, or people didn't have camera phones. So, but somebody did. One person did. So I'm standing in the back, and people are leaving, and it was getting really ugly. And somebody said, "Well, you got to go back up on stage." I go, "What?" They go, "Yeah, you're the host. You got to go back up." So, Jim Gaffigan was the next comic, and I said, "Jimmy, I'm bringing you up." He goes, "No, you're not."
Oh, wow.
So he goes, "I'm not going up there."
Wow.
So I had to go up there and try to calm him down. And the reason I bring it up is because that was my opening line. I go, "I think we just saw Kramer morph into Mel Gibson."
Yeah.
Wow.
Got a laugh.
Wow.
With a few people
and
that were
nobody
left.
knew that it was taped yet.
Nobody. And it just looked like a bad night at the office. Like, really bad night. But turns out somebody did have the thing.
Did you ever see the Comedians in Cars where Jerry has Michael Richards on?
I didn't see that one, no.
You should look it on YouTube. It's about friendship. It's very nice.
Yeah. Well, I
He
think...
tried to help him. He also brought him on Letterman.
Yeah, I think that was nice of Jerry to do that, try to help his friend. He didn't abandon him.
Well, because he really believed in him. He believed he wasn't a racist guy. And
I don't think he is. I think that was just I don't know what happened there, but...
He wrote a wonderful book, Michael Richards, which I read. And it was just fantastic. And it's a must-read if you want to go into show business or sitcoms or acting.
Well, he was a terrific actor, and he was always really nice to me. So I was like, well, because CNN everybody wanted me to make a comment since I was there that night, and I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to pile on because the guy was always cool to me.
He wore padding on the show on Seinfeld.
Oh, did he?
When he did those falls and stuff like that.
Amazing.
He always wore the loose pants, if you notice, and because he wore the padding underneath. And amazing, he never really got hurt.
That's great. Yeah.
I always like the physical comics too. The ones that
Anybody you can think of?
Well, everybody gives a hard time to, and I haven't seen the new documentary yet about Chevy Chase, but everybody says he was really difficult to work with. But I used to like his physical pratfalls, and I guess later you wind up paying for that. I know we mentioned Jerry Lewis
Mark's
earlier.
a big fan of Keaton.
Keaton was phenomenal, probably the best ever.
Yeah, Buster Keaton was unbelievable.
Yeah.
He was his family. I don't know if you know how he started. There was they had the Flying Keatons. I think it was called Flying Keaton, and they put him in the act when he was about 6. They put a mustache on him, so he looked like a midget or a little person, whatever you want to call him. And they would take him and fling him into the audience.
Wow.
Just throw him. Or they had a brick wall on stage, like a phony brick wall, and they take it and just throw him through the wall. And then he forced to learn how to make these falls.
You've got good parents when they're throwing you into brick walls.
That's good parenting. He was a genius, and that kind of physical comedy I've always appreciated.
Me too.
And Michael Richards was really good at it.
You ever do any physical comedy or take a stab at it?
No, but I'm trying to think of his name. We all know him. What's his was it Peter Pitofsky?
Oh, one of the best.
He comes up on this show all the time.
Pitofsky.
Pitofsky.
Another great guy, right? And really amazing physical comic. He used to, back when cars had antennas, back when you could get my show on in the car.
Put it in his nose?
Well, cars would pull up to the valet, he'd pretend like the antenna got stuck in his nose, and like he was being dragged down the block, and the horrified people waiting at the valet were like, whoa.
I was with him many times. We went on the road together. He could fall down an entire escalator. Just start tumbling down and lay at the bottom.
Unbelievable. And I was there the night he jumped out of the balcony at the Laugh Factory.
Really?
Yeah. He, he was doing his act, and all of a sudden I don't know why, he ran up into the balcony. And the crowd's looking around, where's he going? And he's up there and he starts doing shtick from up in the balcony. And all of a sudden he jumps over the balcony, and he landed on a table, and the drinks went flying, and then he was on his back and he couldn't get up. He goes, "Frazer, get up there! I can't move."
Wow!
So I had to go up and.
He had an audition one night. I say this guy's name, Dino D. The great producer.
De Laurentiis.
Dino De Laurentiis. He went up to his office, and Peter gets very big, like you just said, jumping about. He jumps on the table during the audition and just starts doing flips and like going over the things and eating them. And sad to say, he didn't get the role. And he looks at me and goes, "I wonder if I was just too big."
Something he usually didn't worry about.
Yeah.
He would just do his thing.
Very funny. You do a backwards flip.
Yeah. Bob Nelson, too.
Bob Nelson. Peter lived with Bob in New York for a while.
You did?
Peter.
See, the two of them are similar in my mind.
He did the scarves, Bob.
Yeah, and I saw his boxing bit the other day, and then his the classic bit about football.
Yeah, he got the helmet on.
I forgot how great he was.
His headshot is 2 boxing gloves with like his face like this, and I had no idea who he was. But when I started doing stand-up in New York, I would see that guy with the boxing gloves and the twisted face with the boxing gloves, and it just became like an iconic image of a comic that was before, or I had no idea if he still was or whatever. But I always, when I walk in and I see that guy with the boxing gloves, it's like, this is a real comedy club. Like,
well, yeah, and they are putting all the old clips up on YouTube.
Yeah,
and a lot of the stuff that from Rodney's young comedian specials. Early Dom,
those
is
are
just
phenomenal.
Dom is so good, it's scary how good he is.
I don't. Do you?
Oh, that whole and bit
and Dice. Seinfeld was on.
Yep. I know you and Jerry are good friends.
Very good.
And
I was with him this week.
I love him. What a comic.
What
he
a
comic.
He said to me, if I wasn't as secure as I am about sometimes performing, so we did 4 shows. So I'm about to go out to about 33,000 some other people. He goes, you have some set of balls to go out there by yourself. And, you know, if I was a nervous type of guy, I go, please don't say that to me. You know,
Yeah.
I got enough to think about. He goes, you're really going to go out there and just by yourself to talk to these people? Who do you think you are?
That's funny. Well, he's another genius.
So let's talk about this for a second. You've been at the Laugh Factory since its conception, and you must have seen a lot of comedians develop that we now know today. Who surprised you, or who did you know right away when you saw them? This guy's going to be big.
Well, I know he takes a lot of heat, but I did kind of notice something about Dane Cook. And I know when I say he takes a lot of heat, a lot of people think, you know, he has a sophomoric act, but he did. But I think he's really grown.
Yeah,
and I don't know if
terrific.
I don't know if people have given him enough credit.
I've seen him a lot lately at the clubs. I think he's really
Isn't
phenomenal.
he good? Isn't he phenomenal?
He's always been phenomenal, but I mean, I think he's definitely gotten to another level with his comedy.
I did see it early. I go, this guy's got stage presence, and he's not afraid of anything, and he's pretty creative. So I did kind of spot that early.
Yeah.
You know? And
by the way, that's what I admire the most about him is the incredible confidence that he brings to his material. And that's not to knock the material. But I think what he does, you nailed it, that I don't see almost ever. I actually have a friend who's a young comic who's in New York right now. I'll give him a shout out, who I see this with. His name is Bo Bigelow. And he's got that same quality, but it's so rare. I think like Jim Carrey had it.
It's rare. Jim did have it. You're right.
Like what? What kind of quality?
It's this absolute fearlessness to throw yourself into your material like jumping off a ledge.
Right.
And I admire that so much. It's unbelievable.
And he could just hang up on stage with no laughter and just be totally confident.
Yeah.
He's pretty amazing, really. The other guys that, do you guys, I'm sure you know Gary Cannon.
Oh, yeah.
Gary Cannon, have you seen Gary Cannon?
You saw him at that benefit we went to together at the Laugh Factory that Elon was on.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Elon, too.
Yeah.
Elon's another one who's fantastic.
Yeah.
But I really like Gary Cannon. He's Ricklesy.
Yeah.
He does everything off the crowd.
Yeah.
Another one who's great like that, of course, Bob Zaney, our old friend. But those guys are really good at that. I don't do any crowd work, so I'm always amazed by those guys. Mm-hmm. And we just lost a great comedian, Jeff Garcia, who was a terrific crowd work guy, too. I really like those guys.
Was there anybody that you saw early on and you didn't think, I don't think they got it, and then they really surprised you and became an incredible act?
Let's see. I'd have to think about that one. I'm sure there's somebody out there. Mm-hmm. A guy that I really like now is Greg Hahn. Have you seen Greg Hahn?
Yeah, sure.
To me, he is absolutely hilarious.
I don't know him, but I'll check him out.
Well, Greg Hahn, and it's kind of hit and miss with the crowd. Sometimes the crowd doesn't get him. He's a physical comic, too. Okay. And he just does an amazing bit about job interview. And it's the funniest thing I think I've seen in a long time.
Wow.
Yeah. The guy's great.
We never got into how you got started in radio. Is there a story there you can share with us?
People tell you had a voice early on?
Well, you know, I did, I guess, get that early on, yeah. But I just started like a lot of people in college. I was on my college radio station. Mm-hmm. And I basically did that just to get credits.
What college was that?
I went to Western Michigan.
Uh-huh. Was that your idea to do that, or did somebody say you should do that?
You know what? I just, I forget what happened, but my roommate, I think, knew someone at the radio station, and somebody had dropped out, their sportscaster. So I had to go down there and do the sportscast. Yeah. So I did the sport, and of course I did everything wrong, and the guy was yelling at me, and I go, well, okay, but I kind of enjoyed it. So I started working at the radio station, and then there was a local station in town called WYYY, and my old joke was that they were like, why did we hire this guy? I got hired to do, you had to do everything. Yeah. You had to do news. You had to do, sports, take the stuff off the wire. Remember, you have to rip the stuff off the wire. Mm-hmm. I had to, sweep up, turn on the station at night, because it was one of the ones that went off at night. And you learn everything by doing that.
I did the overnight shifts at WMCA, 5:70 a.m., the first station the Beatles did when they came to
Wow.
America. Yeah.
You ever lock yourself out?
Yes.
I did that a couple times.
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who are some of the best that ever did that?
Well, the classics are always like Wolfman Jack, who I became friends with. There's some local L.A. guys that were really good, like the Real Don Steele, Charlie Tuna. They always had crazy names. Huggy Boy, was great. And then, the legends of today, like Howard Stern, who I think maybe the biggest ever in radio. Rick Dees. Rick and I are good friends now.
Did you ever meet Joe Franklin?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I met Joe Franklin.
I worked for Joe Franklin.
He was a character.
He was a character.
Yeah.
I loved him.
And, and Rick Dees, we were really enemies. I mean, he was like my competition. And he had billboards everywhere. And I tried to get a billboard out of my boss. He was like, no, it's not in the budget. I go, well, it's in Rick's budget. How about, and I finally had my buddies go in construction. They're construction guys. They built a billboard for me. And it was all crooked and everything. I found an abandoned lot, and I had that guy, the tagger, Chaka, come out and spray paint my name on it.
That's awesome.
It made it on the front page of the
You
LA
have photos
Times.
of that
It was on the front page of the LA Times.
Yeah.
These guys that do like talk radio,
Yeah.
like Dennis Prager, who would do 3 hours a day.
They're amazing.
Amazing to be able to go out and do that, right?
I could never do it, Mark. And I tried out one time at KABC, and I ran out of stuff after about 5 minutes.
Right.
I don't know how those guys do it. But what I was doing was I would vacillate on all the people calling in. So I would call and go, well, I hate Trump. And I go, yeah, I hate him too. And then somebody call and go, Trump's great. And I go, yeah, Trump's great. I would say whatever. I would just agree with whoever called.
It was amazing those guys could talk that long and on serious topics.
Yeah, it really is a gift. And
They do a lot of work before the show.
you have to prep for that for
You
sure.
really do.
Yeah, you do.
We took a call on the show today.
From
honor of
Darren
radio.
Carter. I
Yeah.
didn't guess who it was.
Yeah.
But he sounds different on the phone.
We should have given him some kind of prize for calling in.
I was thinking that's Darren Carter, but I knew it was somebody doing Darren Carter.
Right.
Yeah, it
There's a lot
sounded
of
like.
those
Well,
Darren
there's a lot
Carter
of.
impressions.
There sure are. That's big money.
So how did you go from working at WYYY to becoming the biggest radio host in LA, number one?
Well, when I got out here, I had been working in Detroit on a big station, and I'd gone there after WYYY. And then I had, remember the Firesign Theater?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, those guys were on my show, and they go, hey, you're pretty good. You ought to try coming out to L.A. You'd probably be a hit out there. And I thought, oh, I don't know. Anyway, so I came out, and I had friends from Detroit living out here. And I said, well, what's a station you think I could get on? And they go, well, K-Rock. It's the smallest one. It's the littlest station. It's at the end of the dial. That would be your best bet. So I remember meeting with them, and they said, well, we don't know who you are, but if you get one of the Firesign Theater guys to do it, we'll put you on.
As a partner, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I got Phil Austin was a friend of mine. So Phil and I got this show called Hollywood Night Shift on K-Rock. And it was a purely ad-lib show. We would put on a sound effect record and just ad-lib everything to the sound, whatever the sound effects were. And we had this thing called Train Ride to Hell. And we would play a train sound, and then we would ad-lib every layer of hell that we were going through. And that was our thing. And then he added a guy named Michael C. Gwynn. Michael C. Gwynn was an old radio guy that everybody knew in the Bay Area. And he was also an actor. He was in a lot of stuff. So as the three of us, we had this show on K-Rock right before the Rodney Bingenheimer show. And it caught on.
Wow.
All of a sudden it caught on, and it was huge. So then they offered me my own show, and on Friday and Saturday night, and I played all that new music, and then I would do jokes in between, and kind of weekend update fake stories.
Give us a taste. Do you remember any of the jokes?
No, okay. But I do. I was doing a lot of drugs in those days, but I, there was all topical stuff.
Yeah.
And it was all stuff about it was Leon Spinks was the heavyweight champion. He was getting in all those car wrecks and everything. And I said that I'd hired him as my driver, and then I would do and a lot of people started listening. I had these T-shirts made up for my show, and there was a famous photo with Deborah Harry wearing one from Blondie, and Springsteen. Would all the big music stars were listening to my show, and I discovered Van Halen.
You did?
Yeah.
How'd this happen?
Well, they were a Pasadena band.
Does he know this, by the way?
Well, I think I didn't really discover them. They were discovered by the guys in Kiss. Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons really discovered them, and Ted Templeman, the big music director.
So what was your part in it then?
Well, I had my show on Friday night, and they were the house band at the Pasadena Hilton Hotel, and K-Rock was out in Pasadena in a tiny little building. So they would do, cover tunes, and they weren't even, I don't think, called Van Halen. I think they were called Mammoth or something. And they had done a test pressing with the guys from Kiss, had helped them get a test pressing done. So David Lee Roth, after the show, after their set, would come across the street. It was right across the street, climb up the fire escape, climb in through the window, kick in the door. We had great security,
Wow.
good security for us, and go, "Hey, man, you got to play my test pressing, bro." And I go, "Get out of here. Who are you?" I kept throwing him out, and he kept coming back every week. It's a lesson in persistence. And I finally played it just to get him off my back. I played Ain't Talking About Love off the first album. And, back then you could tell if something went viral when the phones lit up. So the phones lit up and everyone wanted to hear that song again. And I started playing it regularly, and it kind of kicked them off.
Wow. That's incredible. Did you ever have any of the Beatles on your show?
No, but I have met, Paul and Ringo. But I never had them on my show. I wish I had.
Where'd you meet them?
They came to the radio station for various things. Ringo was promoting something and stopped by, and I met him there.
Did you get a lot of free tickets to concerts?
Well, those are the good old days, Mark.
Yeah.
I mean, when those days
Backstage.
go, when those days go away, you don't even want to go to a concert. you
Right.
know, after that, because you're wired. You're in the front row. You're always backstage. You get to meet everybody, and then it kind of spoils it for later. And when you don't have that hookup.
Did you go on stage and introduce the bands in some of these?
I did on many occasions. And I still remember bringing Devo on for the first time, and the Police. When nobody knew who the Police were, they were playing the Whiskey, and I brought them on stage. And I also was the house MC at the Starwood. So a lot of people, John Mellencamp, a lot of people were coming through that were just breaking, and I would bring them on stage for the first time in L.A. So I did get to do that. And, the other benefits of it were that I got really big to the point where I would go to the Forum, because the Forum was the big hangout, and go to a Laker game, and they go, "Mr. Smith, right this way." And they'd bring me down courtside. I'm sitting there right next to the team, courtside seats. Anything I wanted, because I was kind of the big man on campus for a couple of years.
You were a career maker. You were a kingmaker.
Well, it was really weird. This is weird, guys. They would give me a microphone, a wireless mic at halftime, and I would get to do jokes. Not really a set. You just make comments about people. And, at the Forum.
Yeah.
It was pretty amazing.
That is amazing.
Now, is radio going to make it?
That's a good question, Mark. I certainly hope it will. I don't know. My personal feeling is that podcasting is great, and it's obviously far surpassed where radio's at now. But I think at some point, people might get hungry for it again, because as both of you guys have done radio, and it's an exciting medium still.
It is.
And there's something about it that's a little more immediate. You can listen.
Live element.
You can listen to it live, and it's. We talked about this. All the mistakes actually work for you. It's like seeing live comedy. The mistakes actually help sometimes.
George Schlatter talked about that with Laughing when we interviewed him.
Right, the accidents.
Yeah, that sometimes, and it makes it feel real.
What host did you love or respect?
In radio?
Yeah.
Well, I respected Howard, because Howard, I just liked how he you saw his movie, so he went against all that adversity and became big.
Yeah.
He just didn't fold his tent. So I always respected Howard for that. And I used to like guys like the Real Don Steele, because they would talk super fast. You know, that was their thing. They was blah 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 blah. You know, then they and then
I missed it a lot of.
Imus was fantastic. I like the Wolfman, and I have a Wolfman story.
Wolfman Jack.
Yeah, we were in the same building. His it was KRLA, which was all the old top 40 guys, and then there was all of us, Jim Ladd and everybody at the FM side, right next to each other. So we got to know him. We had a Christmas party out at the Sea Lion in Malibu, and so we were together in this thing. And the GM and the GM was this fun guy. Usually the bosses I don't get along with too well, but this guy was cool. And he goes, let's do the Blues Brothers, because it was right when they were big. So we practiced it, Soul Man, and there was a house band that was backing us up. So he says to me, just as we were about to go out, he goes, didn't Belushi do a cartwheel? And before I can even answer him, he ran out, flipped, and fell into the drums.
Wow.
Yeah, and so then he couldn't even get up. He had a bad. I can't get up, so I had to finish the song by myself. It really looks. People thought it was comedy because they thought we did it on purpose. So I'm in the bathroom changing out of my Blues Brothers gear, and in walks Wolfman Jack, and he looked like a star. You know, he used to do the midnight special and everything, and he was dressed all in black, and he had the bandoleros and the giant sombrero. Hey, baby, Frazer Smith. Yeah, man, you're the party animal, baby. Let's go. Come on, kid. I love you, man.
Yeah.
And so he goes, come out to my car. So we go out there. We smoked a joint in the parking lot. And then he had this big gold Cadillac. He opens the trunk, and he pulls out a gun.
Wow.
And I go, uh-oh. And he goes, no, Frazer, come with me, man. So we go out. We're on the beach. He's howling like a wolf and shooting at the moon with a gun.
Wow.
And we hear these sirens in the distance. He goes, run, Frazer. So we're running down the beach, and we're hiding in somebody's carport or something. And he says, don't worry about it, man. You're with the Wolfman. I know all the cops.
What a great story. That's amazing. That's like a scene. That's a trippy scene out of a movie.
It really happened.
Yeah, that's amazing. That could be right out of one of the softie movies, you know? Like one of those sequences that they do. It's
well,
like,
the old DJs were kind of like that. They were kind of wild and crazy.
Yeah.
You know, and more so than the FM guys. We were kind of laid back, really. But those guys were nutty, and he has all kinds of crazy stories that he went through.
Did you meet Howard?
I know Howard, yeah.
You know him?
Yeah. Not well, but I was always a fan, and he was always cool to me. And I remember when he first came out here, the program director that brought him out here, all the staff was, the salespeople and everybody were complaining. They didn't want him on the station. Well, that guy, you know, he's trouble. And, you know, so the program director said, I guarantee each one of you at the end of this year will be buying a house because of this guy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because he was getting bags of hate mail. Back in the day, they didn't have the internet, so you just got these mail bags full of hate mail. Well, that all turned around, of course, with Howard, and he became really big. So when he came out to promote his book, remember his first book, he came out and it was his first trip to L.A. as, you know, having been on here on the air. So, you know, we all went down there, and the sales staff was surrounding Howard, who was very tall. And he was looking bored, and he's looking around, and they were totally ignoring me. So Howard spots me, and he goes, I'm going to go talk to Frazer.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Nice.
he came over. He was super cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so I've always been a fan.
Why do you think Rogan's so popular?
Well,
He's got the number one.
Yeah, I think it's because, and I got to give Joe credit.
Rogan.
Yeah. You know, I worked with him a lot doing stand-up back in the day, hosted a lot of shows that he was on. I think it's because of his, you know, broad stroke of the different topics.
Yeah.
He talks about a lot of different stuff. He's got the MMA stuff. He's, you know, talks of politics. He talks about science. He has science people on there, you know, astronomers and medical people. And I think it's just an interesting mix. And I think that's really what's made him. And, you know, he's the kind of guy who can talk a little bit on everything.
You know, they say, you know, you're supposed to keep everything short these days. He does 3-hour podcasts.
Yeah, that's true. You know, but I do think that's a dynamic that depends on the performer. You know what I mean? And it's true with stand-up too. You know, some people like I will never be a headliner. I know that. I can only do like really short, little, quick stuff, but I can do that pretty well. And as far as other headliners, you know, there's some people who can do 3 hours. You know, and it's like a walk in the park. So everybody's got a different dynamic.
Right. These rules are not applicable for everybody. Everybody is their own flavor, right?
Yeah, I really believe that. And I think for him, it does work. Other people, I think, it would be a drag after a while.
Yeah. By the way, going back to Howard's the one who made me want to go into radio and got me in a lot of trouble because every time I try to emulate Howard Stern, if you weren't Howard Stern, I mean, it got him into a lot of trouble too. But
well, that's what I meant about him persisting.
Yeah,
because he shows that in the movie, and what I like about his movie is it kind of is true for almost everybody in radio. You know, he had all those stations where they didn't get him, and my favorite was when the station, and this used to happen a lot. The station would change formats overnight, and all of a sudden it was a country station, and he was Hop Along Howie with that cowboy hat. But you know, he went through all that, and he had to fight through all that to get to where he is.
Yeah, and one of the most incredibly talented interviewers, by the way.
Great interviewer. Yeah, great.
Nobody, I think, comes close to him as an interviewer.
He's one of the very best at that. And also just a pioneer.
Yeah, incredible.
People are buying radio stations now. You know George Soros?
Yes.
I think he bought a couple 100 stations. Did you ever read this?
I didn't know that he did that, but you know what George is probably banking on is the fact that at some point it's going to come back.
Yeah.
You know, and you can get them cheap now, so you might as well if you've got money like that.
When you first started, what did they pay you to be a host?
Well, I got a real lowball offer when I first got in because they could do that to you. And then later I was able to negotiate some stuff when I got some big numbers.
But when you first started, like what?
Well,
$100 a week? What was it, you know?
Well, I think, at WYYY, I can't even remember, but it was pretty low. A couple $100 a week. You know, and then
But glad you had it.
You know, yeah. And the other thing I was glad about was I got to learn everything doing that.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of invaluable, being able to have to do everything.
That's right. I remember when I started working at WMCA, and my dad said to me, like, "Why are you working for so little and doing these overnight shifts?" I said, "But I'm learning so much. I'm getting like a free training." It's like free training doesn't help with anything, you know. But I mean, he's right, and but he was right in terms of like, you know, you got to pay the rent. But I did wind up learning all the things: how to do the board, how to do the sound effects, how to do everything, and all that is obsolete now.
But you're kind of working. You're kind of working in a vacuum.
Your dad was right.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
You're kind of working in a vacuum because very rare to hear from people.
That's true. Occasionally you'll get some calls, but
or a note or something.
It's usually something from a program director saying, "Don't say that again," or "Don't do this." But it was. You're right. You are in a vacuum, and you know, as a comic, you just don't know if any of your stuff is landing.
Right.
You know, but it does have that free form thing too that you can kind of riff, and I think as you get more comfortable, you're able to do more of that. You know, and I think that's what usually paid off for me was being able to.
I love radio. I know exactly what you're talking about. Being able to do that skill. Finish the sentence anyway.
Well, I was just saying, you know, it's a lot like stand-up. As you get more comfortable, you're freer.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's what happened with me as I started to get ratings. You worry less and less about what the boss is going to say, you know, but you still have some weird stuff happen. Like, remember I had all the guys from Spinal Tap on my show the day that they released the first movie. And it was it was a Friday. The movie was coming out. It was getting a lot of hype. And I had the guys on my show, all of them. And, you know, it's Harry Shearer and McKean and all the guys. And Christopher Guest.
Yeah.
And they were fantastic, you know. We were just riffing back and forth. And they brought the album with them. And it was vinyl. And so I played a song, Big Bottoms. And, you know, radio stations at that time particularly were very tight about their playlist. So I get a call from my program director. He goes, "Take that off now or you're fired." And I had big ratings too. And he's, you know, telling me this.
Wow.
So I had to take the record off,
Yeah.
and it was really embarrassing. And there are the guys. They go, Frazer, you're supposed to be the big radio dude, and you got to take this off. So, and then I remember yelling at my program director, after the show. That's what would happen back in those days. And, I had a couple instances that were like that, where you're like, hey, just let me do my thing.
I was
So when
fired
you-
a few times like that.
Yeah.
When you have a show at 6 a.m.,
Yeah.
what time do you get up?
Well, I was up usually, at 3:30.
And what time do you go to sleep?
3:30.
There you go.
No, I usually, back in those days, I was a party guy. I came up with the term party animal.
Yeah.
And I was just
Did you really? You came up with the term
Yeah,
party animal?
I think it was me. And I, but I was really a partier, and I'd be up on Sunset Strip because my buddy ran the Roxy. I had another buddy that owned the Rainbow and all those clubs. I was wired, the Whiskey. And I'd be up there partying every night, and then somebody would go, hey, you got to get to the station. I'd be like, oh yeah, man, right. And then I'd take off for the radio station. I could do that with no sleep back in those days.
Who were the biggest party animals, like the rockers that you would see out there?
Well, it's all the Motley Crue and Van Halen, all the guys, the usual suspects, right, that were out there. And but I did get to know a lot of those guys. Alice Cooper became a good friend.
Right.
He's a terrific interview.
Oh, I would have him on here in a second.
Carson
Yeah.
said he was the best interview of all the rock stars.
I want to talk to him just about his friendship with Groucho Marx.
Well, that was the thing. He was an old soul, like we always liked those guys, right?
Yeah.
And he was good friends with Groucho. He actually bought dedicated a letter of the Hollywood sign because it was under ill repair, and he paid for a letter in Groucho's name.
Wow.
Which letter do you know?
I think it was the O.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
which O?
I don't know. I don't know. That's right. I don't know.
I don't know.
So it's amazing, you get into all these clubs, hang out with these rock guys, and that you didn't get in any trouble.
Well, I would get in trouble with my boss, though. That's where I would get into trouble.
But with all the drugs and all the drinking and
You know what? Today you'd be in real trouble. You'd be in real trouble. But back then it was kind of weird. Things were, the 80s were pretty loosey-goosey, right?
Did you party with Harry Nilsson?
No, I never met him, and I didn't really get to know the gang up at the. I'd go to the Rainbow, and all the bands would hang out at the Rainbow.
Yeah.
But I never met they called themselves the Hollywood Vampires.
Right.
And I don't think I ever met them. I did meet Alice. But I would meet these people backstage at various events and stuff. I used to have, I had the Surf Punks were friends of mine, and they came on the show one time in the morning, and I get there at 5 in the morning or whatever, and they're bringing in bags and bags, garbage bags filled with sand.
wow.
And they filled up the studio with sand. And then they had these bikini girls come out and dance, and then these Muscle Beach guys, and then they had chopped a actual lifeguard tower in half and brought that in. So, and then they set up in the sand and played live on the
Wow.
show, which was unbelievable. But then the boss got really mad because it took 5 years to get the sand out of there. He was so mad at me. And then another time, I'm a big fan of Rodney James Dio. He was such a great singer, for Black Sabbath and for Rainbow.
Sure.
And he came in one night. That was another guy that just showed up. I had the Surf Punks in there on my show, and we called them the Hallway Band because we set them up in the hallway. So we were playing, and then I would sing. So I had the lyrics of songs, and I would sing horribly live on the air. We had hundreds of thousands of people listening, and I'm singing, and there were anyway. Here comes Dio out of nowhere with a giant bodyguard. He was a tiny little guy, and so he started singing his classic hits with the Surf Punks backing him up.
Wow.
It was unbelievable.
That's crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What about Michael Jackson? You ever have him in?
I met Michael. I did not ever have him on the show, but I met him
You
several
tried
times.
to get him?
Yeah, he was a hard get. It was hard to get him. Certain people were just harder to get than others. But the other story I have about the boss getting mad at me was Gretzky.
Wayne Gretzky?
Yeah, because I'm a big hockey fan, and I have a hockey podcast now called Puck Off with Joe Bartnick and Andy Piccaro.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, I do that on Bill Burr's network.
Oh, good.
And anyway, so I went to a charity thing, and I was sat between two legends. Gordie Howe, I'm from Detroit, so he's an all-time great, and Wayne Gretzky, and I'm in the middle. And Gordie Howe's a real prankster. He was like giving people hot foot. You know, he'd light your shoes on fire.
Yeah.
He was doing all kinds of crazy pranks while we were sitting there during this luncheon. And then Gretzky, it was before he got married, and he said, hey, you're a DJ, right? And I go, yeah. And he goes, my girlfriend, it was a girl he was dating up in Canada. She was kind of an Anne Marie type. She's a singer. Can you play her song? And I go, yeah, sure. You know, I figure, well,
right.
I'll never have to play this. And he gave me one of those old 45s with the big hole in the middle. I take it, and I never played it. And I get a call at the radio station one morning, and it's Gretzky. He goes, hey, man, you never played my song. You told me you're going to play my girlfriend's song. Yeah, okay. And so I put it on. It's the last thing you'd want to hear on a classic rock station. It was just schmaltz, So I put it on. And I get a call from the program director. Take that shit off now. Now, you're fired. So I had to take it off. Then I had to explain to Gretzky. I go, I'm sorry, man.
So what happens if you're sick one day and you have a live show?
Well, you just kind of if you know in enough time, you can get a fill in. If you don't, I have another story on that. It was Thanksgiving, and it was before we started doing the things with Jamie, and I had a toothache. I had a really bad toothache, so you can't get a dentist on a holiday. I couldn't get a dentist, and usually they don't have the A team doing stuff on the holiday anyway. Usually they have somebody filling in, but I didn't get along that well with my boss, so I had to go in, So I'm in just total pain. So I stopped at a liquor store and bought a fifth of scotch, and I drank the whole thing in about a half hour.
Wow.
So then I'm just hammered to get rid of the pain.
Yeah.
And apparently I was saying a lot of stuff on the air that I shouldn't have been saying. And I don't remember anything that I said. And later did get in trouble for that. But yeah, that's what you do. You just get through it and, try to do.
I went on to a show with my friend Steve Schaefer in New York. Steve's a comic.
Oh, Steve, I know Steve.
And we went
Great
on
guy.
Alan Combs. Do you remember Alan?
Yes, I do.
Alan was on Fox News for
Yes,
a while, but he
I
also
do.
was a radio guy on country western station out of New York. Alan says one night at the comic strip, why don't you guys come over tonight, midnight, and do my show? So he says, sure. And Steve and I get hammered before we go over there. I mean, really, really drunk. And I got a tape of this. It was god-awful.
You have the tape still?
Yes, I do.
We should play it on this
Oh,
show.
man.
God.
You
And
saved
Alan
it.
said, you will never do my show again. But we remained friends.
Oh, well, that's cool. Yeah.
It was
We gotta play that.
so friggin' drunk.
I want that.
No,
and I
that
want
happens.
to get that play that you wrote, the depressing play about
The
the
comic.
cannibals. No,
the cannibal one, yes.
Yeah,
Yes, we'll do that.
when you became a dark playwright. Frasier, this is just a blast. I mean,
Blast and a half.
Well, guys, thank you for having me on your show.
You're a legend. It's an honor to have you here. And yes,
I'll tell you one more quick one.
Okay.
Dice, reluctantly I put him on because I was kind of worried, but he got on there and he had to sing Dice for Advice. And people would call up and they go, hey, I just broke up with my girlfriend. And we go, get over it. Click. He just hang up on him.
Wow. So if I wanted to be a radio guy, what's the first thing I would do?
Well, these days it's really
Is there a
about
school?
Well, I think the thing is to do what I did still, which is to find a small station that, because they're always looking to hire. And you'd have to work for low dollars and be willing to, work weird hours like the overnight. And then I think that's the best way to get in still,
Yeah.
Same with stand-up. Find little tiny places to go and do your
And you're up
thing.
late at night and
Up
doing
late
the
at
late
night.
shift. Yeah.
Same with podcasting. Find a tiny little podcast.
Or a trailer.
Trailer.
Guys, thanks. I mean, it was really
Thank you. A pleasure.
You
Yeah.
have a wonderful podcast. Good
Wow.
luck with this.
Thank you. It's great.
And what do you got to tell us? You were pushing
Yeah.
anything?
Well, not really. I'm at, I want to push my radio show Sunday nights, 10 to midnight on 95.5 KLOS.
At your
coming
age,
up?
how do you stay up till late?
You don't have
It's
to
the party
because
animal. It's the original party animal.
That's right. But we pre-tape.
Ah.
So now the party
2 in the
animals now.
afternoon.
Yeah.
Dinner at 3:30.
Yeah, I'm going to have you guys on. We'll get you guys on
Love
there.
to.
Oh, yeah, anytime.
And it's on Zoom, and I've been lucky. I had the guys from Kiss on, and I had Ice-T was on there. He was fantastic.
Who's coming up this week?
Lemon iced tea.
I have Richie Scheidner.
Ah,
Rich, is he in town?
No, he lives in North Carolina
but
now.
he's going to be on Zoom.
But he's got the books about the road stories, and he's got all those road stories. So
I wrote the book with him.
That's
did
right.
you?
I killed true
Did
stories
you?
of the road.
Oh man!
You should have them on together.
I should go on with him.
Well, he's on tomorrow. If you want to come on,
What time?
he's coming on. I think at 11. If
At
I'm
night?
not mistaken. No, in the morning. We pre-tape. So yeah, if you want to hook that up with him, it's a little difficult for us if you're not in the same room to do the Zoom.
Yeah. Don't worry about it.
Technically, but I'll get you on there
Yeah,
too.
I would love
and
to.
we'll talk about. I love those road stories.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Mark and they wrote the book together.
I didn't know that. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah.
So the radio show. Tell people again the name of it and how they find
it's
it.
the Frazer Smith Show. It's every Sunday night, 10 to midnight on 95.5 KLOS, and I appreciate any listeners who want to check it out. It's a fun show. And then I'm also going to be at Brad Garrett's club the first week of
Vegas?
March in Vegas at the MGM.
Can you get your show online also for people who are?
Yeah, you can. You go to KLOS Live and then then click on air now.
You guys have to listen to it. If you're out there and you're not living in LA or whatever, maybe you don't know Frasier. I mean, as I've mentioned many times on the show today, he's a legend of radio for a reason. And just listen to this man, and you'll be doing yourself a favor. It's pure joy.
Oh, thank you, Danny.
And Mark,
Yeah, my book, Why Not? Lessons on Comedy, Courage, and Chutzpah, and markschiff.com. And I'm just go to my website, markschiff.com, and go dates, and you'll see where I'm appearing in an area near you.
and one final thing about Frasier. One of the very first things I did when I moved to LA, I got booked to do Frasier's radio show, and I could not believe it. I couldn't believe that you were having me on. I was so excited. I'm still so excited to do it. But,
We're going to do it again.
But I just you're so good to young comics, and you're so good to young talent, and I think that's a thread throughout your whole story. I've got comic books on my website, fairenoughcomic.com. They're autobiographical. They're about my life. And the very first one I ever did, the first place I promoted it was on Frasier's radio
And
show.
by the way, I want to thank you, too, because throughout the years I've seen you, you've always been complimentary and very nice to me. And I appreciate it.
Well, I'm a fan of yours. Both of you guys are really talented comics, and I love comedy, like we all do. Yeah.
Well, that's obvious. And you're a terrific comic yourself.
Hey, cut it out,
Tell you,
okay?
no,
Knock it
you-
off, will you?
The king of the one-liners. I love it. And the snapping. I love this snapping.
That's my hook, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
Don't
got
steal
this-
that. I have a lawyer.
He's
Boy.
it's a
Yeah,
snappy
come on.
act,
It
man.
is. Yeah.
And I've got a film on Amazon Prime Video, Reconquistador. It's about me going and tracing my roots in Spain and doing
I
stand-up
loved it. I
comedy.
saw it.
You
It
saw
was fantastic.
Oh, right. You did.
Yeah, Darren and I went and saw it. It was great.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I loved it.
So that's stuff that you can find in mine. Thank you, guys. We think it's funny. We hope you did as well. What an honor having you here,
Oh,
Frazer Smith.
well, thank you guys.
And
Appreciate it very much.
We'll be here hopefully next week, but you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. Follow us, leave us a nice review. See you later. Goodbye.
Cut it out, okay?
All
Knock it
right.
off, will you?